And thirdly, a protection association, not only to defend Catholics against prejudice, but to provide positive information about the Roman Catholic Church. A question came up as to how best to provide active Catholic citizenship. It was determined that there was need then to have another degree that would eventually be called the fourth degree, and it would be based on patriotism. That would be its goal. Catholics began to understand that they were not foreigners, that we had a founding father who signed the Declaration of Independence. His name was Charles Carroll of Maryland. He happened to be the richest man in America. And if you're going to have a revolution, revolutions don't happen for free. Someone's got to pay for it. And the other founding fathers were a little nervous about approaching Mr. Charles Carroll, but they needed financing for their revolution, of which Mr. Carroll was more than happy to provide it, because coming from the state of Maryland, he could not even go to Mass in his own home state. He was not allowed by law. And his understanding and general feeling was the Mass is worth a revolution. Then there were two Catholics who signed on to the Constitution. Daniel Carroll, a nephew of Charles Carroll of Maryland, and James Fitzmaurice, a shopkeeper from Philadelphia. This fourth degree was considered at a convention in 1886. Father McGivney will die on August the 14th of 1890, the eve of the Feast of the Assumption, at the age of 38, from tuberculosis. The last discussions about the fourth degree took place finally in 1899, 9 years later. The idea was filled with a tremendous amount of controversy, Catholics and patriotism. In the 1900, the first group of fourth degree candidates, which was 1,100, were exemplified at the Lenox Lyceum in New York City. The fourth degree was on its way. Many people see the Knights of Columbus. They see the fourth degree at a lot of functions. They see the men dressed in tuxedos, wearing the hat, the cape, and carrying the sword. It is symbolic of the protection they are to provide. It also makes a statement with the red, white, and blue in the chapeau and in the baldric and in the hat. Officers have, of course, other colors such as gold and green and purple. But I found that just listening to people, women love that hat. It's actually the hat that was worn by admirals in the late 1800s. It is reminiscent of the fact that Queen Isabella of Spain created Christopher Columbus as admiral of all the oceans and of all the seas. There are a few assemblies in the East Coast, though, who still wear that top hat known as the stovepipe hat, but that was the original hat that they began with. These fourth degree Knights of Columbus are present in many civic parades on civic holidays. They are present at celebrations, especially with the bishop when he appears at a parish, to act as sentinels. Again, that idea to be ready to protect and to defend. They are very much committed to respect for life, not only just the annual January March in Washington, but at local Respect Life marches as well. The fourth degree of patriotism still is important today in our nation. There is a lot at stake as religion is challenged more and more by an ever-present and ready secularism to take over. It was the Knights in 1954 who introduced changing, or adding, I should say, the phrase to the Pledge of Allegiance, under God. And we've experienced a movement amongst secularists to have that removed. The Knights need to make a strong rebuttal and a strong reaction to that. The Constitution of the United States reads, freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Religion has a right to be in the public square, just as much as the unbelievers and the secularists have a right to be there. In fact, when we speak about this great democracy, we have to be mindful. It's based upon a system of checks and balances. And it's not just the three branches of government, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, checking on one another. It goes well beyond that. The other checks and balances mentioned in the Constitution is certainly freedom of the press and freedom of religion. It was the intention of our founding fathers that religion have a place as a check and a balance, not establishing a state church, but that they have a right to speech. They have a right to criticize. They have a right to contribute to our great society, as we call it today. It is important that we not lose that check and balance of religious freedom and religious liberty. The fourth degree was founded for just that purpose, to make sure that the Constitution's freedoms are upheld and that Catholics never have to repeat those times again when the sign said, "Catholics need not apply."